Hey guys, Adrian here from DigitalDojos.com, and as the Apple event rounded up today, there's a lot of news I'm going to be covering today. You're going to see a lot of content, but today we're just going to be talking about specifically OS X Mavericks, their latest operating system release. This is going to be a complete upgrade guide to OS X Mavericks, what you need to know, things you need to keep into consideration, and some tips when upgrading to OS X Mavericks. I just upgraded my MacBook Air here, and in this case, I'm on my iMac and recording this to show you guys some things to keep in mind if you're coming from Mountain Lion, wherever you're coming from. First off, you want to know, well, if you are compatible, and keep in mind, OS X Mavericks, the big thing about this is it's a free upgrade for all users, completely free, so you're not really risking anything in terms of price here. So, okay, that said, if you're compatible, you can do a couple things here. You can obviously check about this Mac. It covers a wide range of Macs all the way back to iMacs back in 2007, but the best way I figured to check compatibility is that of going to the Mac App Store once you have that, and trying to download OS X Mavericks. This will verify if you can download it, then you are compatible. It won't let you download it if you're not compatible, so keep that in mind. Mine's currently downloading. You're going to need at least 6 gigs to cover the full download. It's about 5.29, but 6 gigs to be safe. And again, the price is the best at free. That said, once you have it downloaded, what are some key things to keep in mind? Well, first off, let's talk about backup. You always want to back up when doing an upgrade, a clean install, whatever it may be. You can use Time Machine if that's your preference, if you use that already. You can do a manual backup if you have an external drive. That's something I tend to do, just dragging the files over. You can also, of course, do a cloud storage backup. However you want to do it, you want to keep copies of your data, whether you're copying it across multiple drives or just, again, you just want to have a backup of your data, because when doing something like this, it's a big step, it's a big process, and it risks a lot of important files and damaging your system if the worst comes. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, also, if you're doing this on a laptop, I'm doing this on an iMac. When I did this on my Air, it's also important to, one, probably plug in your Ethernet cable when installing, just to make the process go by a little faster or be on reliable Wi-Fi. 2, have your charger plugged in, because you don't want your laptop dying in the process. That said, now what you need to decide is this install method you're going to go about. There's 2 methods. You have the clean install and you have the upgrade. Essentially, the clean install is just starting from a new slate, wiping everything and having a clean OS X Mavericks. Upgrading, of course, is keeping all your files, keeping everything you have in your dock, your settings, all of that, and upgrading to OS X Mavericks. Nowadays, it's actually pretty simple to migrate and doing the upgrade process. It doesn't hurt too much. You still should back up. Back then, it was more widely recommended that you should do a clean install whenever you install an operating system. But again, nowadays, it's all up to personal preference. If you're going to be doing the clean install method, you need, one, an 8 gig pen drive. You can also do it with a DVD, though that's not as fast. You can also do it with an external hard drive. You just have to replace the steps I'm going to show you here. But you need, again, at least 8 gigs. Once you have that 8 gig pen drive, I'm just going to show you an example here of what you would need to do. You would first open up Disk Utility. You can open up Finder. You can open up your Spotlight and find that. Once you have that, you're going to want to, and my MacBook Air is restarting here, as you can see that in the back, I hear that in the background. Anyways, once you have Disk Utility open up here, you're going to find your 8 gig pen drive wherever it would be here. You're going to want to erase it and format it as Mac OS X Extended Journal. That's very, very important. You want to have it set to this. You want to set it as a name. Just set it to Untitled. That just helps with the code I'm going to provide you with a capital U, Untitled. Save that, erase it, and then once that is completely erased and your pen drive is formatted, from there, you're going to want to exit. You're going to want to open up something called Terminal, which is the command line here from OS X and Unix systems. And that's it. You can see the installer here for Mavericks is complete. But you're going to want to open up this terminal window, and you're going to want to paste this code right here. Now, I know it's a long code, so I'm going to leave this in the description and the blog post attached. Again, this is this is based off of two things, I should say. One, it's based off that your Mavericks installer is in your applications folder. That's where it goes by default. So it should be here in your applications folder once you install that by default. So just keep that in mind. If you move it anywhere, just put it back here, because that is referencing right here. This thing right here is referencing this, or not this one, but this one right here, install OS X Mavericks. It's also referencing the fact that your pen drive is called Untitled, so again, that's just something to keep in mind. If you want to adjust the code to your own preferences, you may do that. Once you do this, you hit enter, and it's going to start erasing the data. You just want to leave it running. You're going to see it say erasing disk, copying installer files to disk, copy complete, making the disk bootable, all that jazz. It's probably going to take anywhere up from 20 minutes plus, so keep that in mind. Just be patient. Once that's done, you are good to exit this, reboot, hold down your option key when booting, and boot into your USB drive, and this will allow you to perform a clean install. This is also a great method just if you're installing OS 10 Mavericks on multiple machines, you can just hot swap that USB drive as needed. So that's the clean install method. Now, of course, the upgrade method is different. You can see here if you're just going to be upgrading, you simply get the installer, you're going to want to run through it, hit continue, read this, which everybody reads, I'm sure, hit agree, and it will show your disk here. You can show all disk if you want to install it on another one here, so that's also an option. If you have other partitions, you can also do it that way. So in this case, you can see I have my Mavericks developer preview, which I'm going to be wiping and then installing like so. Anyways, that said, guys, this is your OS 10 Mavericks upgrade paths of whether you're doing upgrade or, again, clean install. With that, I'm going to go ahead and run through my installers, and we'll get back once I have OS 10 Mavericks done. Alright guys, that said, it's a couple of days later. Mavericks is installed and finished up. I had some stuff going on, so I had the version finally finished and upgraded. So you can see here, Mavericks is installed. You can verify that about this Mac. You will see you're on the latest version. If you go into your more info, all that jazz, are also right here, version 10.9. And in the amount of time it took me to upgrade as I was waiting, Lion Disk Maker, which is an app that's been out for quite a while, was upgraded. So you can see here over at liondiskmaker.com, they've released Disk Maker X, which allows you to make it easy to use disk or install disk, whether it's USB, for Mountain, or I should say not Mountain, but Mavericks. So you can get it here. Again, Disk Maker X, the easiest way to make a bootable disk for OS 10, so definitely worth checking out. Again, the method I showed earlier on works just as well via the terminal, but if you want a GUI-like interface, you don't want to go through a command line, then Disk Maker X is definitely worth checking out. So again, guys, this is OS 10 Mavericks. You guys know all about the new stuff. If you not, you can check out, as soon as you launch it, it shows a page regarding Apple's features and all that. You have iBooks, you have kind of some new UI changes, multi-display support, all the good stuff. I'm going to be making a couple of videos on some cool features that I found within and some things that I like in terms of changes, etc. So stay tuned. I hope that guys helps you guys with your upgrade to OS 10 Mavericks. Again, it's completely free, so definitely worth doing if you have an older Mac or like this, a newer Mac, whatever it may be. Well, this isn't too new, but again, some nice speed enhancements, especially for the laptops, great battery life-saving tips or tweaks and all that jazz. Again, head over to DigitalDojos.com for more information.